I'm in.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsorry@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/BinandSorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch. Indeed, a child shall lead them. I am just going to hang out with you bums. I figured, why not? I got nothing else to do. Maybe we could just hang out for a while in our little fireside thingamajiggy, where we could kibbutz, have some fun, discuss current events, discuss music, whatever you'd like, dear listener, whatever you'd like. You guys know that it's going to take a minute for this thing to catch up, but once it does, we will be ready to rock and roll. Glad to have everybody here. I keep feeling like it's Friday, but it's not. So, that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. I don't know why I feel like it's Friday, but I do. It feels Friday-like to me. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. All right, let me see. All right, guys. So let's hang out. The rules are pretty clear. There are no rules. We're just going to chill out. Everybody's cracking up. We could talk about anything y'all want to talk about. What is on everybody's mind today? I Can't Fact says that he's a bum. Okay. Wonderful. Admittance is the first step, so that's good. All right, let's see what y'all going on. We got Saber Wolves in the house. I need to step away from Twitter. It's turned into a KKK rally. Yeah, I put a 15-minute timer on my Twitter page. Mental health wise, it's not a good place to be. It's not a good place to be for sure. Is it a music stream or a Middle America stream? It is a whatever stream. We're just hanging out. There's no real agenda. Hey, Kai in the house. I started my 2-week vacation and I'm loving it. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. It's always good when people are not working. Just messing with y'all. Salute family. Hope everybody witnessed my feature on Hard Lens Media. I'm on the Hard Lens page about 2 minutes ago. I was looking for it. I didn't see it. I did not see it. My newest article featuring assistance from Taylor Lorenz. Whoa. Exposing the 1630 slush fund or dark money core is co-created by Buy Entire Core, which showed definitively that they lured content creators. Yeah. Where's he reading these names and comments? Good question, Ben the editor. Very good question. Very good question. How's everything going? Are you all right? Wanted to check on you. I mean, it's all good, you know. It is what it is. What can you do? Let me set the timer. So you get an hour. Let's say we got an hour and a half together. I think an hour and a half is a good number. My little tribe. Creators to control what they could or could not speak on. Yeah, didn't they have to like check in and check out and stuff? It's a pretty big scandal. Facebook, baby. I'll text you the URL now. Cool. Cool. What's going on, Rig? How's everybody else doing? How are you guys feeling? Everything going good where y'all are at? Everybody feel a little bit more tense? See, that's the thing, is like I don't know if like shit is really as tense or intense as it seems, because Twitter kind of creates that kind of impression, you know what I'm saying? Like if you stay on Twitter too long, you really start feeling like, you know, we're about to end up in the apocalypse, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, you got to kind of temper that stuff. Hope you and your family are well. Yeah. So that was the big thing I was looking at. I was like, damn, like shit is tense. You know, they got the Philly Karen lady, you know, like I guess she got fired from her job. Like I'm not cool with that at all. Like they ruined Shorty's life, bro. Like what is going on with people? What is going on with people? So what's the main subject for today, boys and girls? Lots of white folks Fed posting. So I'm curious if you're all having the same issue of having your videos taken down or copyright struck as other creators. Hope this is a bad question or something you don't want to talk about. I think we have the world record on YouTube for copyright strikes and takedowns. We literally have over 4,000 videos that have some sort of copyright claim on it, and that's not an exaggeration. It's just the nature of the beast, you know. Thankfully, we have the Patreon situation, because if it wasn't for the Patreon situation, we wouldn't be able to do this because of, you know, what you're talking about. Our channel has been imperiled on numerous occasions, you know, because when we review music, we don't do the stop play thing, which is what people did initially for revenue, but really a lot of them are doing it now to protect their entire channel, because it's getting hectic out there. But you know, there's ways around things and massaging things and things like that. So you know, it's all good. Good question, fair question. Good question. Hey, Justin in the house. Good to see you, baby. Vin, do you think the Antichrist is currently on the earth? No. I'm a post-millennialist, so I don't believe in a coming Antichrist at all. There is a news story I'm following up here in Cleveland. Punch Bowl Bar was shot up, and the mayor decided to close down the only black old bar down the street over it. Wow. The black-owned bar had nothing to do with the shooting. You know, it's gonna be hectic for a couple weeks and months. You know, as this is a thing in the news cycle. I think people have figured things out now about, like, you know, I think our overlords have decided, let's have a spicy controversy every other week. You know, a couple weeks ago it was the Coldplay concert with the people. Then it was Philly Karen, and it's this situation. I mean, if folks want me to talk about it, I'll talk about it. But yeah, it's gonna be a little bit hectic for people of color for a couple weeks. Just wait it out, you'll be good. It was on the flats by the East Bank area. Justin says, I can't imagine not helping someone who's been attacked right in front of me. Yeah, when I saw the video, she did not react you know, a lot of people, they watch the movies, and so things like that, like, they think that that's how it's gonna be. Somebody gets jammed up or poked, it's gonna be like, if you saw the video, she really didn't move around a lot, and she didn't act as if she was in demonstrable pain. But then she starts leaking. I don't know what the trains are like in North Carolina, but I remember I was actually, that actually happened right in front of me in the Bronx. I was a 9th grader, and you know, for gang initiations for the Bloods, I used to cut people's face open. And so I'm on the train. It's like the second day of school for me in the Bronx, New York. I'm on the train, and these two dudes start arguing. And so the guy goes, get off the train, get off the train, get off the train. The guy's like, man, fuck you. If we want to fight, we'll fight out here, whatever, on the train. The guy wouldn't leave. So the train door opens. Dude is coming in. As people are coming in to, you know, to get on the train, the dude that was starting the argument was coming out and cuts the dude in the face randomly. This is not somebody he's arguing with, okay? So he's arguing with a guy on a train here. The guy won't get off the train, refuses to get off the train. The train stops. As the train stops, guy is coming in, briefcase, ready to go to work. This guy's going out, and he cuts him. Slices his face wide open because now he's a Blood. He's in the gang. And that situation was also kind of similar because the dude like sat down and, you know, was on the train kind of like sitting there like minding his business, and then somebody was like, yo, my man, you're leaking. And we all looked, and then he's flooded, and then he starts talking, he starts panicking. He didn't die or anything like I'm pretty sure he was anyway. Yeah, I'll never remember. That was, seeing that situation, like, straight up like that, I had heard that there was a bad, you know, the Bronx, it's, you know, but that was a traumatizing situation for sure, and it changed me it's so crazy of all the shit that I've seen in my life, like, I don't know why that had such an effect. I think it was the randomness of it. I learned so much lessons in that situation because I was like, yo, my dumb ass would have been like, okay, let's get off and whatever. And I would have been in that situation. It was like a real wake up call. But it was the randomness of it that is probably what fucked me up about it. Like, I have other friends who died because he wouldn't give up his chain, but you could be like, yo, next time give up the chain and you'll be okay. Or one of the Blood initiation days was October 31st because their gang code was 031. I don't know why, but that was their gang code. And so, like, if you were wearing red on October 31st, you were almost certain to get cut. But again, that almost wasn't traumatic because there was rules that you could follow to make sure that you'd be okay. But the guy on the train was just going to work. There were no rules to follow. There was no logic. There was no nothing. It was just boom. And I think that's what fucked me up about it. It was the randomness of the attack. And it was just such a crazy contradiction because on the one hand, that kid was street smart. He wouldn't get off the train, which is a street smart thing to do. And that prevented him from getting cut. But on the other hand, because he was street smart, this other guy now just got cut. And there was literally nothing he could have done. And so I think that was just like screwing with me. Like, that's where, you know, much later, talk to your, you know, counselors, and they tell you, oh, you have PTSD, blah, 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 and they tell you the symptoms. It's like, yo, I've had those symptoms since way before I got mixed up in all this government shit. I mean, I was feeling that shit since high school. So seeing that happen to that girl brought that up to me. And you know, I'm only saying this for the purposes of this discussion. I've got 2 black boys and a white stepdaughter. And I'm saying that she's a white stepdaughter so that you guys can understand when I say I have a white daughter, I'm talking about, white daughter like daughter. And so watching that whole situation is so crazy to me, because on the one hand, I'm just thinking about my daughter and me not being able to be there for her, and how quickly it happened. That girl didn't have a chance. And the other side, I'm seeing everything on Twitter, what people are saying about this guy, and then how that relates to my sons, right? And so it's like crazy, ugly situation. On top of the terrible irony that this girl was Ukrainian, and no matter what you feel about Ukraine and how much money we gave them, it's like, I think it's universal that those people were in a fucked up situation. So for her to get out and feel like you can lay your, put your hair down because it's America, and then to find out that this dude had 14 counts on his jacket and they were violent counts, you get put, it's such a crazy situation to be in, because on the one hand, I'm hearing people, talking about my sons and whatever, or people that I would have laid my life down for in service to this country, but then on the other hand, I'm like, I would be beside myself with, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a crazy situation to be in total. But rest in peace to Shorty. But as far as the bystanders go, I can understand, because I've been in that situation, But at the same time, I do want to bring something else up in the context of this discussion. And it's going to be a little bit controversial, but the whole Daniel Penny situation, right, where you had the Marine and they choked the guy out and all the rest of it. And I understand there was a lot of outrage and all the rest of it, but I remember specifically saying, I've been on the train in New York City, and I talked about that specific incident where the guy got his face cut, and I said, look, man, I've been on those trains in New York City, and, like I said, you're hyper vigilant all the time. But that's why dude reacted the way that he did, because shit happens so fast over there. So fast. Like, I was just having this conversation. I've got a person close to me works in a federal organization, and I was saying, people don't understand how quickly lethal violence takes place. Lethality in the civilian world is almost never instantaneous. And it doesn't look like what we think it looks like. And so, like I said, you're expecting to see all this blood shoot out and all the rest of it. And so when you got a guy out there on the train, and especially if you have seen such situations on a train, if you've seen it yourself, you have to react quickly. And so that's why I took the position I took with the Daniel Penny situation, or the Penny, whatever the guy's name is. That's why I took that position. Rest in peace to homie, the dancer or whatever, but he was yelling at people, and he was threatening people, and he was saying he was going to do XYZ to people. And if you've been on a train, that shit can turn left. That's why he did what he did. It would have been very hard for me and the jury to convict him. It just would have been. And a lot of that has to do, I agree, with my experience. I experienced that. Maybe I was traumatized, but I remember saying to myself, that's never going to happen to me. I'm never going to let that happen to me. And I don't know if I did everything the right way. When you're hyper vigilant, you lash out at people and you do things because you have to get them before they get you. So certain things never happen to me, but it's very, very easy to say what you would do, man, but I still have questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still have questions, and the shit is just not as easy as people think it is. That's all I'll say. Yeah, I also appreciate the Daniel Penny guy not going out of his way to make the Fox News Tucker Carlson rounds and all the rest of it. But, you know, and I maybe I'm speaking out of my trauma here, but I think if you are, I think people need to be vigilant wherever you are, man. Like, I don't know, bro. We're in a very volatile, tense environment right now, and and I'm one of these people that I go shopping, I got my headphones in my head, all the rest of it, completely vulnerable myself, so I don't want to say like be paranoid. I just think we should be watchful, man, because I'm not saying that there's like a bunch of bad actors out in the world right now. It's just that people are in a. We have no real leadership. Like we're in the worst form of soft anarchy right now is what's happening. Is that you have a bunch of ideological tribes that get dispersed between all these social media platforms, and lines are being in the new world we're in, like lines are being drawn along digital lines, man, and that's the thing that's crazy. Race is still probably the primary organizing principle still in America, but after you get out of the racial aspect of organization and tribalism, it really kind of disperses between what your thought process is on a given controversy on the internet is what determines who you are and what your identity is now. And that is not something that is normal, or I don't want to say it's unhealthy, but what I will say is that this kind of human being is or this kind of organization of humanity is something that human beings have never had before. And so because it's so new, it means that we don't know how to prepare for it, and we don't know what to look for and what the ramifications are, and what the fallout is from all of that, from this new way of organizing. But if I'm watching people who a year ago were sworn enemies and at each other's throats, heartily like agreeing with each other, congratulating each other, going on each other's shows. I mean, it's and on the one hand it's beautiful, but on the other hand I do see some potential for that being dangerous. That fear experienced in the situations plays a huge role in the mental memory of whether you'd fight or flight or freeze, right? It's fight, flight, freeze. So people freeze as well, it's just somebody watching a 30-second clip and having all of these moral protestations about all the people there and what they would have done. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And to be honest with you, if you've never been in a situation of extreme violence and lethality, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm not saying that for anybody in particular. I'm just saying, like, unless you've been in the middle of it, it is impossible to make those judgments. And the brain chemistry of people in those situations is completely different. So there are some people that just remain completely calm, like they snap out of it. Like you could see the guy that actually went to help her had to run across the train, right? And so it's like, what does that mean? I wish we could hear some of the audio, but what does that mean? Like, why did he run over there? Were people yelling? Were people screaming? You know what I'm saying? Did he overhear that guy? Because that guy was allowed to walk and pace until he got off the train. And usually when people make those attacks, that's what they'll do. Because you've been on those trains and those buses so many times, when the bus is about to make a stop. And usually that's when people do their dirt. When you're 30 seconds out, They'll do whatever they do, and then you get off the train because people are coming in, people are going out, and that's how you get away from the cops and all the rest of it, right? And so there's just so many things that go into what's going on in that situation, but that's how that guy got off, because like he hesitated for a little bit, and I assumed that they were pulling into a stop. He waited until he was probably 10-15 seconds out, did what he did, and then you saw like he was able to walk out. Just completely horrible, which means to me that it was premeditated, at least in the sense of like, I don't know. I don't know if he saw her, because you know, if you take public transportation is on a time cycle, right? The bus comes at this time every 20 minutes or every 30 minutes or every hour or whatever, right? And so that creates a certain sort of pattern of life, as they say in the craft. It's a pattern of life. And so when I say premeditated, it could have been she took that bus for a month, and finally he said, you know what, I'm going to do it. Or it could have been, as soon as he saw her get up those stairs and saw her, he said, I'm going to do this. And then he waited till he, hesitated a little bit till he was close enough to the stop, and then he did what he did. Just completely. That's what I mean by premeditated. So whether it was he established a pattern of life and planned to do it, or whether he just spontaneously decided to do it, it was still clearly premeditated. It's just sad, man. It's just sad, the whole damn thing. I once saw someone get shot to death at a gas station. It's so fast and surreal. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah. Sorry you had to see that, buddy. Lost my brother, gained 2 new ones, Vinny and Peter. Good to see you, baby. Good to see you. All right, guys. I think I got 20 minutes left. 20 minutes left. Good convos. Good convos. How's everybody else doing? Are y'all feeling some tension yourselves, or is it just in my head? Spent too much time on Twitter. That's fucked up, evil pair. Ugh. When I got shot, I didn't even know I was hit. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Did you see my question, Hunter? Hunter had a question. I did not see your question, Hunter. Repost your question, bro. It just burned. Tons of tension, but Twitter is super bad for you. Yeah. It really is not. Twitter is not a healthy thing to be hanging out with for extended periods of time. It just isn't. It just is not, dear listener. I'm sorry. But Hunter, I did not see your question. Put it up for me. Put it up for me again. I missed all your guys' questions. If I didn't answer your question, please let me know. Please let me know. Thank God I've never been, well, no, I gotta take that back. No, that doesn't make it. Let's see. I got jabbed in the back at a bus stop. My initial reaction felt like losing my breath at first, then the pain settled in. Wow. Oh, here's one. How would you respond to people who say Christianity stole from other cultures? Good question. How Christianity stole from other cultures. I don't know what stole means. What does stole mean? So, for example, if I say God, right? Now, when I say God, a Mormon says God, and a Muslim says the word God, we mean completely different things, right? Would it be rational for me to say that Muslims stole the concept of God from Christians because they use the term God like we do? Well, I mean, technically, I guess, because Muhammad didn't invent the English language. But I wouldn't say that the Muslims stole the term God, even though Allah is a term for God. I wouldn't say that they stole it. I would just say that it is inevitable with sentient relational beings that if they connect with each other, then they are going to have similarities with each other, right? So when you say stole, what do you mean? So if you say, well, Christmas is about the winter solstice, Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, I'll say, okay, we can go with that theory, but that's something where that was a specific strategic move by the Christian church to say there's a lot of ways we can confront our culture of paganism. One way is to say everything that you do as a pagan is horrible and terrible and horrible and get rid of it and become a Christian. Or we can find every single part of paganism that has some sort of resonance with Christianity and then baptize those elements in explicitly Christian metaphors, etc., etc., and we can kind of ease them into Christianity instead of taking a confrontational take of Christianity. So that's more than just we borrowed or we incidentally, because we live around each other, we have similarities. That's a situation in which you took an evangelical strategy, right? So if a person says, did Christians steal culturally from other people? You can characterize it that way, sure. But I think it's probably a combination of a whole bunch of stuff. Some of it's linguistic, like the term El for God. Some of it is conceptual, like a henotheistic sort of divine council thing that you see in ancient Near Eastern religions. Some of it is strategic, like what you see with Christmas and Easter and etc. And some of it is just made up bullshit where people see connections where they're not there. Like, for example, the zeitgeist stuff where it says Christianity stole from the Dionysius cult or whatever, which is something completely different. But that wasn't so much the question requested. Maybe stole was wrong, borrowed was better. I think it's a lot of that, right? And then you also have religions. So, for example, you had the Mithras cult, right? Mithras. And for a while, people were saying, "Oh, Mithras, the Christians stole from Mithras." It was this big thing, and then they ended up having to say, actually, it looks like if anybody borrowed from anyone, it was vice versa, because it looked like some folks in the Mithraic cults took certain passage in the early Christian canon literally. Like, for example, in Revelation, you hear about people being washed in the blood of the Lamb. And so in the Mithra cult, you had this bull that you would sacrifice, and then they had this, you would stand under it, and they would cut open the bull, and then boom, you would be like deluged in blood from top to bottom. That probably was birthed out of a literalized interpretation of being washed in the blood of the Lamb, etc., etc. So that's how I would answer that question. Now, on the other side, those are... So the first half of that question I would answer would be yes, in the sense of stole, borrowed, strategically gentrified, etc., 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 right? On the other hand, you have people who spout out mythological stuff. They'll say Dionysus and Jesus are similar, and then they'll put two charts together. Like Dionysus had 12 disciples, Jesus had 12 disciples. Dionysus was born on December 25th. Jesus was born on December 25th. Dionysus had, and they go back and forth, and people go, aha, you stole from Dionysus. And then you look at Dionysus, and none of that stuff is true. Okay, there's that stuff as well, but I didn't want to start with that as if there were no similarities at all, so that's why I did that. What do you make about our government suddenly realizing so much of what natives knew about taking care of Mother Earth wasn't just wishful thinking? Yeah, that's a really good point. It's really not just a government, it's just a Western ideology. It's sort of this assumption that anything indigenous is like caveman stuff, and the post-industrial Western solutions are always the best solutions. Not only with the global stuff and climate care, which your folks were the leaders in, but also other issues with other people. So like, for example, DMT and the spirit molecule, right? So you'll have people who are Sam Harris, like the epitome of like Western intellectualism, submitting to some Brazilian shaman, right? Like that's like way like going back to the old ways. And so I look at it as a good development. I hope that we didn't listen to our pagan friends earlier relative to creation care, so that we're not going to completely destroy this beautiful planet. And I don't think that we will, because again, I'm a post-millennialist. But yeah, definitely, we have lost our... One of my favorite Christian authors, he describes the New World in a kind of obtuse way. He describes it as a city with a temple that's garden-like. And so all three elements, a city which speaks to human ingenuity and genius, a temple which speaks to our spiritual yearning for spirituality, that's garden-like, which speaks to our connection to the earth, right, and the necessity for the earth. So those three elements are going to be in the New World. And the Western world is really good with the city stuff, not really good with the temple stuff, and horrible with the garden stuff. So our pagan friends are going to help us with the garden stuff, because there's a sense in which I think, you know, the pagans, especially the pagans in the old ways, like never left the garden. You know, us Western Christians, you know, we've left the garden, we're building cities, we're going on the moon. And I think that's good. That's good, but there's no flowers on the moon, you get me? So, yeah, shout out to the indigenous, for sure. For some reason, I am not seeing these comments advance, so I'm gonna, oh, okay, there we go. Though sadly, that doesn't mean anything in being in competition with the human obsession of currency. That is really the ability of currency to allow the flow, not competition. Do me a favor, Chris, and restate that differently. Where is Hunter? Didn't Hunter? Yeah, Hunter asked if I saw his question. Let me just put up Hunter Lewis. Is this music? How is everything? Wanted to check on you. I think I answered that question. I'm decent. I'm good. Did you get those emails I sent you? I think I did. 7 minutes, guys. Ask your questions if you can ask them. Good questions, Saber Wolves. Good questions. I love when people ask me challenging religious questions. I do think that hey, Jay fell in the house. One of the things that's interesting to me is the resurgence in religion among young men. I'm not particularly certain how that has happened. How should Christians manage a relationship between their faith and politics, say like with Gaza? Well, anytime I'm in a complicated situation, I always go back to the beginning. So what's the beginning? Okay, these are a couple Christian assumptions. God exists in a Trinity as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and is eternally glorious and worthy of love. Okay, plank 1. Plank 2. Human beings are created in the image and likeness of God, which means that human beings represent God on the earth, and whatever I do to another human being, I am doing to God. Right? That's plank number 2. Plank number 3. Because we're image bearers of God, all of us are equal and deserve glory and honor and love because God deserves glory and honor and love. Plank 4. Because we sin, our DNA has been affected such that by default, we only recognize the image of God in ourselves, and we take it away from our neighbor. If all those premises are true, I should expect to see a world in which human beings do the most amazing shit ever that is honorable and glorious and loving because they're in the image of God. I should also expect humans to do the most horrible shit ever because they're affected by sin. And history has taught us anytime you combine sin with power, you're going to get some sort of horrible ism. Okay? So the first dynamic of that is the Bible makes the plain fact that men are stronger than women. And the Bible predicts that because of that strength, that we were going to abuse that strength. But because women are created in the image of God, and they are not meant to be under anybody's boot, that they were going to fight back. So what does God say right at the beginning? You're desirable for your husband, and he will rule over you. So the battle of the sexes, right? Because when you combine power with sin, you're going to get a terrible ism. Okay. Now the implications are obvious. Zionism is what happens when a bunch of people accumulate power and wealth and weapons over their neighbors. It is inevitably going to result in an ism that we see today. And so, how does my faith inform me? Well, my faith informs me that there is nothing particularly wrong with Jewish people. The people doing these horrible atrocities are image bearers of God, crowned with glory and honor, just like me. The problem is they're infected with sin, just like you and me. And the problem is they have power, and now they're abusing it, just like you and me. And they have to be stopped when they're doing that, just like you and me. So my faith says what these people are doing are horrible, it's terrible, but I am not going to go overboard like Jake Shields and all these other people and say it's because they're Jews. Jews are doing this. And then they isolate moments in Jewish history Of course, my faith says, of course, these moments in Jewish history, they would be doing fucked up shit. Of course they would. Because if you look at any group and collection of human beings that are in the image of God and affected with original sin, they're going to do the most amazing shit and the most horrible shit ever. And if you want to isolate their history and go on down the line, you will be able to find the worst shit ever. And when you hear these anti-Semites talk, they talk as if that this is some sort of neurological disease that has to do with Jewry. Dear listener, let me ask you a question. Who do you think has more bodies, the IDF or the United States Marine Corps? I'm seeing a lot of right-wing neocons who were bloodlusting all during the GWAT. Now all of a sudden getting a case of the morals and saying all types of shit about these people. My faith says, what the fuck are you talking about, American? Your country eliminates women during their weddings. Miserable life over there in Afghanistan. They eke out some happiness, decide to marry each other, and here come the Americans bombing the shit out of a wedding so that this dude is identifying his former wife by like a half of her hand left with the henna that was on her hand, because they finally, because she was getting married, so she finally did herself up, and that's the way that he identified her. Your country did that for 20 years. Is there something particularly wrong with you? Well, I can tell you, people in Afghanistan think that there's something particularly wrong with Americans, but there isn't. My faith tells me that because I'm part of the strongest country in the world, we're going to abuse that power, and we have. And the Israelis are the strongest people in that area, and they're going to inevitably use their power in a wrong way, because that's what my faith tells me. My faith then looks at that Palestinian and says, that 4-year-old Palestinian that is crying out for his father as he's trapped under rubble and suffocating to death is not less valuable than my 3-year-old. There's nothing special about my kid more than that little Palestinian kid. It's not like that kid's father doesn't love his kid like I love my kid. But here's my kid, and the worst thing that could happen to him is that his brother spilled his ice cream. And the worst thing that happened to that other kid is that his brother's dead. I just read a article where this Israeli sniper thought he was talking under condition of anonymity. And he talked about he sniped this unarmed guy and dropped him. And then his brother, overcome with grief, ran out into the middle of the street and he dropped him too. And what he said, they said, why did you shoot the other kid? And he said, well, what was so important about the corpse? My faith tells me that when people begin to lose the concept of image of God, and shame on you, Israel, because you're the ones that brought it to us. When people lose the concept of the image of God, all manner of atrocities are going to happen. And this is the reason why, when it was never popular, and people would say, we love you, but stop with the pro-life stuff, that's a matter of opinion, we said no. Because regardless of whether or not we can see them, they're human beings. And if they're human beings, they're in the image of God. Period, full stop. They're on the team. Their life is valuable. And people, oh, well, what about... And we started getting really cute about, well, what is a human really? And I'll tell you, I have listened to the justifications of what's happening to these Palestinian people. And I've heard people genuinely debate how close Palestinians are to them as far as value as human beings. If you're out here judging these Israelis, I watch Crystal Ball. She says, I feel guilty because we're killing children. Crystal Ball has condemned Israel oodles of times, and I appreciate her for that. But Crystal Ball is a rabid pro-choicer. My faith tells me that we need to be confronted with a question. Are humans valuable or not? Are there conditions for which human life is valuable? Or is human life just inherently valuable? Do you have to earn your value as a human being? Do you have to do something to maintain your value as a human being? It's just the mere fact of your humanity enough. And the ugliest shit in the world is what happens when one group of people says it's not enough. You have to earn or maintain or be given your humanity by us. The Palestinian kid is worth just as much as my kid. But they're in completely different situations. But he's gonna die tonight by himself, without his brother or his parents. But my faith tells me that the Lord Jesus is going to come with angels and take him. Well, people ask me all the time, oh, why could God just forgive us? Go to Twitter. Go to Twitter and ask me why God doesn't just forgive us. I don't know. Maybe it's because people take girls from war zones and jig them in the back of the neck. Take them away from their mothers. Maybe it's people watching videos like that and saying that every single black nigger should be hung on the streets. Can God forgive a person that says something like that? I hope so. You got people walking around on the internet talking about Hitler fell short. He was a hero. Hitler fell short. He didn't do his job. Can God forgive somebody that would say something like that? You got people that are looking at pictures of children burning to death and saying, hey man, like Brandon Tatum, hey man, you guys crying over dead children are weird to me. It's war. Can God forgive a person like that? My faith tells me that the Jewish Jesus said God loved the world. And the Jewish crowd of people turned him over to a bunch of non-Jews, and together around the cross, Jews and Gentiles, Jews and non-Jews came together, and we killed the best representation of the both of us. And as we were doing it, he said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing because they don't see you. They don't see the image of God in me. And they don't see what sin is doing to them. They don't know what they're doing. And that's why I'm on this thing right now. And he went into the ground, and there's a new humanity on the way, man. And when you watch Twitter, and you watched, you see all the shit that we're saying to each other. Yeah, man, that's why That's why Jesus had to go to the cross, man. And that's why it had to be that ugly. Because you're seeing it now. We're ugly, man. We're ugly. We're beautiful and valuable. But the shit that we do is horrible to each other. All right. Well, I'm going to read this last thing. This is how my faith is informing me, and these are the things that I'm like holding on to, because if I don't, I will kill myself. It's just true. It's just true, guys. I mean, this is tough stuff for all of us, I'm sure. But I'm going to show you guys this, and I'm going to get out of here. All right, so here we go. Paul said that he might create it himself. This is God's plan to Jesus. This is God's plan, okay, with Jesus. He might create it himself, one new man in place of the two, so making peace. One new man in place of the two, because you got Jews and you have non-Jews, right? That's how they divided the world. And Jesus is saying, okay, cool. How about we make one new man? We'll make one new set of humanity so we can have peace. And might reconcile us both to God first in one body. Because remember, you will not value the image of God in a person unless you value God first. You being in the image of God means nothing if I don't care about God. So my beef with you is not because you're white or whatever. My beef with you first is because I have beef with God, okay? So he might reconcile to us both to God in one body through the cross, thereby killing the hostility. And he came and preached peace to you who are far and peace to those who are near. And through him we both have access in one spirit to the Father. Remember I said he existed in the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We're reconciled to God. We have access in one spirit through the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So then you are no longer strangers and aliens, but you are fellow citizens with the saints and members of the household of God. Okay, so that's the point. The point is, that's how my faith informs this situation. I believe that one day Jesus is going to take their hands, put them together, and they're going to worship around Jesus. And I genuinely believe that there is a person that genuinely died and genuinely rose again and is genuinely here and is genuinely going to make himself known. Genuinely believe that with perfect faith. But I understand not everybody believes it, but that's how my faith informs these kinds of situations. Well, Kai, one of the reasons I see the world the way I do is because God helped me see the world through your eyes, because of the way that you've been gracious in all the Bible boogies and just being my friend through all these years. So this is not just the way I'm looking at the world. This is the way that the Bible and God and Jesus and my friends, including you, and my pain, everything is conspired. And you've been a very big part of it in the last couple of years. And your picture is literally like right behind that wall above our bed. Too much information. All right. That's the best I could do to answer that question in the nonsensical way that I do. Much love to all you beautiful people. I am out of here. I'm out of here. I'm going to be chilling out with my girl. Much love to all you beautiful people. Stay safe. Love your neighbor. Take care of each other. And look, here, let's do this. Honestly. You got to put some good into the zeitgeist, guys. I'm not like being funny. Like, I'm serious. Like, buy somebody a Starbucks. Say something good to somebody who's struggling. Smile to somebody. Literally. I promise you people need it. Put some good into the zeitgeist. I know we can do it. All right, much love to all you beautiful people. I'll check you guys later.